Walter Brennan. Named the most evil actors of Hollywood's Golden Age. Dark Side of Theodore Brennan named the worst people in Golden Age of Hollywood. The Dark Side of movie stars Walter Brennan's real name is Walter Andrew Brennan. On July 25, 1894, in Lynn, Massachusetts. Brennan was born in an Irish-American family from the working class. He showed early on that he was willing to work hard. Soul and a quiet strength that would eventually became defining traits of both his personal life and the parts he played. His childhood was shaped because of the values of discipline, humility, and he would carry traits like persistence that he would with him during his extraordinary job before getting into acting. Brennan led an interesting and varied life. He was in the French Army during World as a private in the U.S. Army Field Artillery. Was a learning experience that he had a strong sense of patriotism and changed the way he saw the world. After the war he back to the United States and did a few different jobs, such as running a bank, being a lumberjack, and a Californian who buys and sells homes. Poor guy, he lost most of his when the Great Depression hit. People saved this. A time of personal trouble taught him being strong and having respect for stability, traits that would tell a lot of his on-screen characters. The older, more worn-out characters he so often shone with an uncanny sense of reality. Brennan's first job in Hollywood was humble. He started out as an extra and stuntman in silent movies in the 1920s, doing work without crediting it his unique face, voice, and a lot of different things, but quickly got people's attention as the talkies took over his rough, raspy voice. His voice became an asset that people knew, and he slowly started to get more important supporting roles. The big break came in the middle of the 1930s when he turned into a famous architect, a character actor who brings in variety of strange, funny, and sometimes grumpy old people. He made history. He became the first actor to win 3 winner of the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, an accomplishment that hasn't been matched by all the way up to now. His first movie he showed up for Come and Get It 1936, where he played Swan, the sad part Boston Ram. He then won more games for Louisville in 1938 and the Westerner in 1940, the second one having his unforgettable the part of Judge Roy Bean opposite Gary Cooper. Was great in every role he played. In subtlety, depth, and honest show. Brennan's ability to live in characters who are honest about how they feel that really hit home with audiences. Brennan was successful in more than one area. The movies in the 1950s and 1960s, he made a smooth transition to. Most notably, she played the lead role in the from 1957 to 1963, The Real McCoys as Amos McCoy. Grandpa made himself even more popular with a new generation of viewers and showed off his puns that are funny and family love. He set up his role as Amos McCoy with his rough voice and common sense, turned into an American icon and made him likable to millions of viewers all over the country. After Brennan was widely known for his skill at playing older roles, often decades older than his real age. He was in fact a performing artist with a huge selection of westerns, and besides war movies and comedies, he also worked with some of the biggest names in business, movie stars and directors of the time such as John Wayne, Howard Hawks and William Wyler. His roles in movies like Rio Bravo in 1959, Red River in 1948, and To Have or Not to Have 1944 remain important parts of American history. Movie theater. In addition to acting, Brennan had a short time releasing music, several albums of country music and spoken word. His best-known song was Old River's, a sad story about a farmer and his mule, which turned into a crossover hit and made him even more of a beloved figure in 1920s American pop culture. Walt Brennan got married when he was 26 years old. Ruth Caroline Wells is a woman who would stay his loyal partner for the rest of his life. They got married on shared values of keeping the family together and qualities of tradition that would lead. They were with them through life's ups and downs. Ruth worked in the entertainment business as a calm and deeply helpful presence behind the scenes was very important in Brennan's personal and work life, giving him a sense of stability in the unpredictable world of movie stars. They had 3 more children: Arthur Walter Jr. and his wife and children Ruth. Each child stood for a going on with the couple's deep. Brennan knew about his family ties and values for the rough way he acts on screen and voice. On the other hand, was a dedicated beloved father in his private life, putting family before fame a lot of the time. His kids had a strong sense of discipline and a love for the arts and good music, more simple things in life. Thanks to the effect of fathers, it was known that the Brennan home was close, and despite his rising a big star in the 1930s and 1940s, Walter held a place in their lives, making his kids feel a sense of pride, hard work, and a love for nature. He was married to Ruth for an amazing 54 years, is a rare accomplishment. Movie business and everyday life in general, their long-lasting relationship became a sign of their mutual be patient and enjoy the journey together. Through decades of American in 1940, at the height of his power, Walter Brennan had a very important putting money into his future and personal happiness when he bought the 12,000 acre Lightning Creek is very big ranch in the beautiful Wallowa Mountain area in northeastern Oregon, about 20 miles north of Joseph. It was a very hard choice to buy the ranch. Personal and showed Brennan's want to go back to the land for lots of empty space, and for the values of self-reliance and hard work were important to him. Love the ranch with its rough ground, wide views, and being away from the things that are typical of Hollywood became not only a retreat, but also a sign of Brennan's deep link to life in rural America. He spent a lot of time and money on the land, working with for a while animals, riding horses, and taking it all in the quiet of the Oregon wilds. That's where Brennan found a break from Hollywood's bright lights, often going there between movie roles to relax and get back in touch with the natural world. His love for the St. Joseph community went beyond. The Brennan became a quiet but important donor to the small town. The Indian Lodge Motel was built by him, a Western-themed hotel that catered to tourists and movie fans who went to the area, that is drawn to it by its beautiful scenery and what Brennan's legacy means to him. Put up a movie theater where locals could go and tourists to enjoy both classic movies made today at a time when there weren't many ways to have fun in small towns, and few and far between. Also, Brennan began selling a range of goods in Joseph, showing his desire to help others, the neighborhood, and give locals get the things they need. Through these ventures, he not only helped with but also left an indelible mark on the local economy, a mark on the town's social and cultural life. Brennan's link to lightning in real-life Creek Ranch and the area around Joseph only temporary or symbolic. It turned into a lasting legacy that lived on even after his death. For years, he would keep going back to the ranch whenever his film schedule sometimes let them spend whole seasons working on the ranch. Adventures outside and quality time with his family. He talked a lot about his ranch as his safe haven, a place where he felt calmest and most in touch with his true self. The area's beautiful scenery along with its slow pace of life were very different from the show business world moves quickly, and gave Brennan a reason to live. After the fact. After his death in 1974, how the Brennan family is connected to the community of Joseph stayed strong. His children and grandchildren chose to stay in the area, keeping up with the families being there and keeping the deep bond with the land and the people that Walter had worked to keep the legacy of. You can still find Walter Brennan in Joseph, Oregon, still remembered with love today, not for his work in movies but for what he does as a neighbor, business owner, rancher, and quiet giver of money. The land he loved and the values he loved ones live on through both the physical landmarks that he helped set up and the people in his family who carry his. Moving forward with Walter Brennan, the 3 times winner of an Oscar, he is a character actor known for his roles in rough-hewn old-timers and smart Western. Having sidekicks wasn't just a thing of the best times in Hollywood, with strong beliefs, some of which had a lot of controversy, and in his later years Brennan became a conservative, spoke out more and more about what he thought their morals were getting worse. America and Hollywood were no different. He was said to have thought about many of his not only were their fellow stars wrong, negative, and even evil effects on getting to know American culture, conversations and rumors about them. According to what Brennan is said to have said, a list of famous people from Hollywood he thought represented the worst parts of business. The names on this list were shocking, not because they were hard to find but because they were one of the biggest in the 20th century. Henry Fonda had a known for his parts in The Grapes of 12 Angry Men and The Grapes of Wrath, public for his respectful presence and careful portrayals, but Brennan, a staunch right-winger, was deeply. Is Fonda's liberal activism upsetting you? And taking part in progressive causes to support for civil rights by Brennan. Fonda, his strong opposition to American foreign policy and how he fits in with the ideas behind the New Deal were not signs of virtue, But of rebellion he thought of Fonda as a member of the Hollywood elite who in his view were changing traditional American values under the guise of Kirk's intelligence and kindness. Douglas was the tough lead in Spartacus and Paths of Glory stood for another. Brennan saw a threat in Douglas's eyes, was praised for questioning the getting hired by Hollywood blacklist writer for movies Dalton Trumbo. Brennan saw this as a terrible thing, for refusal to follow anti-communist rules of feeling. Douglas's assertive personality was said to getting women and being very independent clashed with Brennan's moral ideal and order. The fact that Douglas often played questionable or rebellious morals Brennan's characters only made his a feeling that he praised chaos and put down patriotism. Errol Flynn, the name may be the flashiest on the People New list for his off-screen antics, wild parties, and many scandals, such as accusations of statutory rapes that were eventually Flynn's slick charm and devilishness were thrown out. Because he didn't care, he was a hero to many, but to Brennan, he summed up the Hollywood is full of moral decay. Brennan is a very religious man and a moral man, was turned off by Flynn's lifestyle, seeing him as a sign of hedonism and moral decline that are not stopped. The daughter of Henry Fonda is Jane Fonda, and one of the most divisive people, the most famous movie stars in Hollywood history. Intense ire while she was acting included well-known pieces like Clute and Coming at Home. It was her work against the Vietnam War, especially her very controversial 1972 trip to North Vietnam, that earned her being called Hanoi Jane and being made fun of conservative America. Brennan is likely to win. Saw Jane Fonda as more than just a political enemy, but as a traitor. She activism was so strongly at odds with her love of country that she became a lightning rod for his sneer. Peter Fonda is Henry's and Jane's brother. Son did the same countercultural thing. Path his part in the movie Easy Rider praised drugs, rebellion, and freedom from social norms. Probably horrified. Brennan thinks of Peter Fonda as on-screen persona and life outside of movies showed a young person who had gone astray, a generation moving farther away from tradition, discipline, and good manners. Brennan, who believed in the value of hard faith and following the law, would have thought of Peter as a bad result of Hollywood's machine for self-indulgence. Nicole Wood was loved for her roles in the movies West Side Story and Rebel. Another surprise was Without a Cause name, even though she looked like an angel and talented woman with a troubled personal life, and Brennan raised an eyebrow at the mysterious death. They might have seen her as a sad symbol. The power of Hollywood to chew up and destroy even its brightest stars. Rumors about her supposed affairs, drinking a lot and being scandalous that she drowned in 1981 could have led for him not to feel sorry for her but as another fall guy for Hollywood's getting drunk and not having any morals. Burt Lancaster, who has been in movies like From Here to Eternity and Elmer Gantry, was known for both his strong screen his presence and his liberal views. A strong supporter of civil rights, and Lancaster fought for liberal causes like Henry Brock. Someone Brennan thought was dangerous to Brennan probably meant the American way of life. Thought he was a charismatic helper of leftist ideas that covered up political agendas in a respectable way. Lancaster's brave and often mean the characters may have also fueled what Brennan thought of him as a forces that cause instability. Bing Crosby, the smooth-voiced singer and beloved star of There Wasn't Much Hope for White Christmas, person for such a list, but behind Crosby's clean public image came from stories of being cold, being abused emotionally, and he was mean to his children. Mostly Gary Crosby, who later wrote a tell-all book that shows his father's Brennan's dark side and his idea of family leaders who are strong and fair, are likely to look into Crosby's alleged behavior wrong. According to Brennan, Crosby's duality, charming on stage, cruel at home, would have stood for the false front of a lot of people in Hollywood. Gary Crosby, though not as well known as his father, himself in the wake of Bing's fame and the focus of public attention, Brennan might not have thought Gary not always as evil himself, but as a result of Hollywood's bad environment, the discovery of problems in the family in one of the most prestigious Hollywood venues. Families only made things worse. Brennan's view that the business allowed corruption to happen at every level. James Stewart might be the most shocking. He was known for having a soft voice, good people, and his decorated in the military, but Brennan, who had a known for being very complicated personality, could have held grudges in private even towards someone who is loved by everyone as Stewart. Whether it came from professional differences in ideas, if it's envy or personal grudges, it's not clear. Stewart was very close with liberal famous people in Hollywood despite being a GOP himself might have raised because of Brennan's or Stewart's suspicions. Getting famous and getting good reviews just made he was an easy target for Brennan's private complaints about the business Elizabeth Taylor with her amazing physique, beauty, stormy relationships, and many. Brennan gave marriages a model, everything he didn't like about modern celebrity culture. Her strong support for LGBT+ rights, she's raising money for AIDS, and the political views she holds. This could have made Brennan's views of traditionalists for him. Taylor's way of life was a breaking away from the modesty and restraint he thought was important for women and famous people who wore her clothes. The media and American values where he saw it as a sign of cultural turn down. Walter Brennan's supposed list of bad people was less of a condemnation of their skills and more of a reactionary in response to what he thought was moral and threats of ideas. His traditionalist ideas clashed violently with the changes in society, values change and liberal activism that a lot of these stars represent. Whether they're driven by personal go through political extremism or Brennan's harsh religious zeal, the way his peers judge him paints a stark picture of the differences in ideas during the golden age of Hollywood. This view also serves as a sobering reminder of behind the fame and glamour, that the business world was full of conflict, not just between pride and work, but between very different ideas about what America should be. Brennan spent his last years, he spent most of his retirement at his ranch in There Is More Park in Ventura County, California. On September 21, he died of emphysema. 1974 in Oxnard, California. At the age of 80 his name was remembered by the new. According to the New York Times, Walter Brennan, who won 3 Oscars, the bodies were buried at San Fernando Mission Tombs in Los